Damn it. Ah.
And there's one.
Is that a little bit for you?
So other than that, it's been a pretty good day. My feng shui on.
Hi, sir.
Hi, man.
Yeah.
At least I didn't put you in there.
The room really quieted down when the recording started. Is it still on?
I'm thinking.
Does it hurt? Think?
No, but it's, the meeting hasn't started yet. So give me a minute.
Light up.
Rain stuff.
Yeah. If you're driving west, all of a sudden the cloud line breaks and it lights up the sky. It's pretty decent.
Not when I was coming home from Grand Blanc after doing taxes today. It
Really?
poured.
Oh,
And then when
yeah.
I got in Groveland or closer, it stopped.
Well, more than honestly, that happens when I have windows or something. So,
1 minute.
off to the nuts, are they okay?
Oh, Sister Ann's going to have a celebration the weekend after Father's Day at St. Anne's for 90th.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
So I forgot to tell you, I apologize. So I assume you want to go. When I get more information.
yeah, let me know. I
Yes,
would like to
yes.
go. I'd like to see her.
Me too.
I know, you better come.
She's doing well.
You're the one that went to the Dominican.
That's right. I went to Dominican high school. That's all we had was Dominican nuns.
In the way.
Thanks for reminding me. Let me know when you.
You
get
ready?
specifics.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Planning Commission, April 6, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jeff Hunzine,
Here.
Neil Wallen,
Here.
David Newville,
Here.
Lynn Shank,
Yes, ma'am.
Jenny McKay. Here. Jim Christopher,
Here.
Angela Willis. Here.
Okay, I guess starting with a thank you to Danielle for pulling together the special meeting tonight in short order. We appreciate that. Thank you to everyone on the commission for taking the time to be here. It's obviously a very important issue. Pretty simple agenda tonight. I guess starting with the approval of the agenda, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda for tonight, April 6, 22.
Accept that motion? I'll second that motion. I will do something with that.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to approve today's agenda. Seconded and approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving to the new business for this evening. Really, the purpose of the special meeting tonight is to discuss the retention of Fishback Engineering for the Renaissance Festival parking and traffic plan review. I thought just maybe if for no other reason than for my own benefit, I was just going to give kind of a very short synopsis of the, I guess, the events that have transpired leading us to this point in time here tonight. If you'll indulge me for a minute, I'll be brief, but at the January 25th 2022 meeting of the Planning Commission, there were a series of items that were identified as critical in our view collectively to alleviate some of the ongoing issues, concerns, of the township residents, particularly those affected by the parking and the traffic issues associated with the Renaissance Festival. Following that Planning Commission meeting and our approval of those points of concern, a letter was sent to Kathy Parker as the representative of the festival, identifying, in a formal manner, our expectations or our requests, if you will, for the festival. That letter was sent on February 15th. It was responded to by Kathy on behalf of the Renaissance Festival in a letter directed back to this commission on March 22nd. That was the very day of our last meeting, our last scheduled monthly meeting. And at that point in time, as the materials that were assembled for tonight would indicate that, I believe the minutes were the minutes from the proposed minutes from the last meeting. Were those included in the agenda?
No, because we won't approve those until the regular PC.
Okay.
meeting.
But at least at the last meeting on March 22nd, there was again, I guess, a reiteration of the commission's collective response to Kathy's, or the commission's reply to Kathy's response on behalf of the Renaissance Festival. In the materials for tonight, the very same day, again, March 22nd, there's a correspondence from Row Engineering directed to Kathy on behalf of the Renaissance Festival regarding their, I guess, retention or reflection of their retention for the purpose of really, I guess, three specific points. One would be to address the Planning Commission's desire or request for another entrance and exit to be added. And this is just reflected in the Row correspondence of March 22nd. The second point being our desire, our request for a traffic and parking plan. And the third point being our desire and request for a contingency plan.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
As for the adding exit and other entrance, you guys as a board never asked them to physically do that. You asked them to decide what the problem is. And if that involves, so this is not what you guys asked of them. just
Correct.
So that you know.
Thank you, Danielle. And my point is, I think that was one of the things, again, that led to an escalation of our concerns regarding the, just the clarity of the mutual understanding regarding the issues that need to be addressed. And I think after having the benefit of reviewing the March 22nd letter from Row, this sparked a concern on, the commission's part to consider whether it would be advisable for the benefit of the township residents, particularly those most affected, to retain our own special subject matter expert. And that is what, of course, brings us here tonight. So all that kind of history being laid out, I would, I guess, invite Mr. Christopher at this point. Jim, would you be able to, I guess, expound a bit on the interest in a subject matter expert on behalf of the township?
Yeah, so Bob was originally approached by a gentleman named John Forster. And I timetable wise, can't tell you, but it was shortly after an article, I believe, in the Citizen. About this. And he works for an engineering firm. The name now is Fishbeck. And he has said that he is very interested to help out and has maintained that. And over the almost probably 2.5 months since first contact, he's been helpful in letting us know a few things. That one, they have the skill set within Fishback now to provide everything we need. He is not a degreed engineer, however, he has many years of experience in exactly what we're looking for. In addition, which is, and what I'm going to tell you, to me, piqued a little bit of interest. He tells me, and did put it in writing, that a group of folks, engineering folks from Rowe Engineering, have come to Fishback and are their employees, and this is what they do. So, having heard that, two things went off in my mind. The first would be, we're going to need our own subject matter expert to add a little bit of credibility, because we only know so much collectively here. And then the other component is a possibility that if Rowe did not replace those folks with other qualified people, then we would be almost in the driver's seat to say, okay, under our control, we have the subject matter experts close at hand. And I felt that that was a great position to put the township in. And I bet Jeff's here after that, and that's where we are. So in effect, I guess to summarize it, is it would be great to have our own expert looking over our shoulder to add a little bit of more, in my colloquialism, horsepower to this, to hopefully have a great outcome from now on. In other words, an enduring solution, and could add things that we don't see as a board, should we invite them to a meeting. And I just wanted to try to put us into that position. I hope that helps.
If I might ask, correct me if I'm misunderstanding, but I thought one of the things that came up in our discussions was that not only did the people from Rowe become part of Fishback, but that was the group of people within Rowe that did that stuff. So effectively, I thought my understanding was Rowe no longer has the engineers for that type of service.
I don't remember John telling me that, Bob.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood it.
And that's why I said in my recent discussion here that they could have replaced them. It would seem odd to me that we would let them go unless all three of them left for one particular reason.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'll just add, the reason why the dialogue that Jim initiated was, I guess, beneficial in my view, upon first hearing it, was when I consider what Mr. Dean Oparka put, or what his letter to Kathy of March 22nd states. It's obvious that he wants to talk with the commission. He wants to engage in a discussion regarding our requests, and he wants to ensure, rightly so, that there is a meeting of the minds regarding these issues. He followed that in the materials presented for tonight. There was an email of April 4th that he sent to the township, basically again inviting that discussion. And reading his email, it's obvious that he wants to talk nuts and bolts, right? And I think it would, as Jim pointed out, I think it would definitely be beneficial to us to have somebody that is experienced, knowledgeable, and in a position to consult us to make intelligent decisions on these issues. So I just thought it was supported in the documents leading up to the meeting tonight, personally.
Have we corresponded to Dean yet? I mean, in terms of his availability, would the expectation be to have him available for this coming meeting, or set up a special meeting for him to come in and share with us what he indicates in the bullet items, like the professional site plan, contingency traffic parking plan, stuff like that. What was anyone's thoughts there? Because I mean, based on reading this email, he's asking for availability to meet. I mean, I'm not sure what plan will be for Kathy and company in terms of what they plan on presenting on the 26th, if their plan is going to incorporate whatever was put together by Roe. But it sounds like he wants to meet over and beyond that, I would think, right? Or am I looking at too much?
Well, I read it the same way, Angela. I think and the sooner the better.
Right.
Everything is, that's what makes this unfortunate at this point in time, is everything seems to be, time is of the essence.
Well, I think that's what I'm angling at, is would it make sense to bring him in prior to the 26th? I would even say, and I know it's short notice, but I would even say, is there a way to even get him in prior to the 19th, where we gave them that due date to have all the information back to the commission? That way we can at least, to be fair, we can at least provide feedback to Roe. That way they can sit back down with Kathy and company and say, okay, here's what we got to do to kind of tighten up this proposal prior to the 26th meeting.
Well, I think, I'm not saying, you're off target there. I think the purpose of our meeting tonight is just to gain agreement with regard to retention of fishback. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right, and so,
Like the inquiry, when Jim asked me about it, was I ran it by Will to find out how do we actually do this, and basically what he said in his memo is, yes, you can do this, but it goes to the planning commission first to decide if that's what you want to do. If it is, then it's got to come to be, put it on the agenda for our April board meeting. So that's actually why
You're
I'm here
recommending to approve the board to
Yeah.
approve.
to approve adding that as a requirement.
okay. Jim?
To Angela's point, I mean, procedurally, I don't know if this is correct, but I'm totally on board under new business to make the comment that supports Angela saying, hey, let's get a hold of Roe. If they want to come in earlier and we can do it. I don't think that that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would even suggest we table that, address Fishback now, and then open it up for new business if that is okay, and then discuss that, because I think that is an open item that
That's fair.
it bears vetting out a little bit.
Just so I understand. You want to hold off on addressing Fishback?
No, do that now.
I'm saying
okay, so-
table what I just brought up, table that for new business. Let's
Okay.
address what we're here for
Okay.
first. and
So,
then-
because that will necessitate then making a recommendation for the board to do it.
Exactly.
I'll have Patty put it on our agenda for April, and then assuming the board approves it, which I can't see why they wouldn't. My only question would be, if we do this, I think it'd be appropriate for us to send Savannah a copy of the minutes tonight and add to the Renaissance Festival, so they know if they want to be at the board meeting Monday, that they can be there.
Well, they are supposed to have all their stuff submitted to us by the 19th, which included the stuff
Like
Roe
Jackson,
wanted
yeah.
they're asking for. So that's up to you guys. Do you want to call us, but have them set up a special PC meeting? You can't talk to to Roe, not and make a decision on anything, not as a board.
No,
So you would have to have a special PC meeting before the 19th, if that's what you want to give them that opportunity, or it would be past due come the next regular meeting.
I think, my opinion would be to have a special meeting for that. That way we are not delaying.
It can't be left on us that we have them up.
Right.
Let's get Fishback.
Let's get
Take
Fishback
it,
done.
and then let's
And then
discuss the
let's
other,
talk about that.
okay?
So I guess just with regard to what I would call the need, or the the correctness, I don't know what the right word is, but our desire to
Make it part of the
move in
requirement.
this direction. Is there any concerns or questions or
Mine
anybody?
is the cost. How much is it going to cost? I mean, I know they are hourly and I looked at their rates.
They
Well,
I mean, do they ballpark it?
They said
and-
25.
Right, that's what I've read, but are they reasonable or are they gonna say end up 50?
So let me,
What's the groundwork?
and I see what you're getting at, but let's put the cost factor aside for one moment, okay? Take that out of the dialogue at this, at least at this point, just with regard to the need
Yes,
and the, I guess, the relevance of their expertise. Are we all in agreement that that would be advisable, beneficial for us to move in that direction?
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if we're in agreement regarding that element of it, then let's move to the cost and the considerations that are reflected in the proposal. Is that, is that fair?
Sounds good.
So I guess as a matter of, I guess, additional comment, there was a proposal that was forwarded to you, Jim, by Fishbeck, that was included in the materials also for this evening. It's basically a two-page letter with a contract, a professional services agreement, terms and conditions, and then, of course, there's the rate schedule, which is the final page. So unfortunately, I'm not going to mislead. I have not had an opportunity because I just saw this, late this afternoon. I haven't had an opportunity to go through this, but if anyone has some comments to offer or just concerns that they have right off the top, I would welcome those.
Do we have any idea of their guesswork on looking at something like this? But again, if they have all that experience, hopefully, are they in the ballpark of what they do? I mean, have you looked online to see if somebody said, man, they tell us this and they shoot it up to twice as much?
Let me answer that for everybody who tried. Lynn, I did not look online, but I'm
Okay.
very close to this industry. And actually, I consult to a civil engineering firm. Their rates are commensurate with virtually every civil engineer in town.
Dunka, thank you.
And
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, and the amount of time, I can only trust his opinion based upon what Bob and I have talked with him about. And
Okay.
mostly me, but a little bit about.
Okay, thank you.
And I will add the scope of services, which is set out right on the first page of the April 5th proposal. The first sentence is pretty focused, right? That being to review the festival parking and traffic plan and advise Groveland Township on the feasibility of the plan. I don't know. I believe that is what we are asking for specifically. And then, they're not going to look at capabilities. I don't personally have a problem with that. I don't know if that's the township's concern to get into, what they can or cannot do. I think we have to take them at arm's length with regard to their capabilities of complying with what they're representing they will or will not do.
Yeah, because that gets into financials, resources and all that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of the SME is to give their technical assessment on, yes, is this plan technically feasible?
Yep.
Does it make sense from their standpoint?
Agreed. And that's what the proposal very clearly spells out. I will, I guess, with regard to the rate schedule, again, personally, I lack any kind of foundation to comment on whether those, rates are within acceptable norms or whether those are at the high end or low end, but they don't strike me as instantly offensive, I will say. Jim, do you have any further insight on just?
Not instantly offensive.
I was trying while you were talking to get into the website of an organization I work with, to see if their rates are published, and I'll do that in a second. But I really don't find these out of line at all.
Okay,
There's one company named by the name of Janney Elsner that are structural engineers, so there's a little bit different skill set. And I will tell you, their rates are significantly higher. And I would consider them the peer national consultant and testing engineer. So I can promise you they're in the immediate range of 250 to 405 or something like that. So I'm comfortable with these.
I guess I would have some questions just with regard to execution of the professional services agreement. That's a contractual undertaking. Would that be, I mean, assuming the commission approves and makes the recommendation to the board that it be approved, I'm assuming the professional services agreement would be signed by an authorized representative of the township?
It'd probably be me,
Correct.
but,
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Not you. No, typically it would be me, but the way most of these charges are done for people that make zoning applications, building plans, any of that stuff. In many cases, they set up an escrow account and we tell them if it's less, you get some money back. If it's more, we're going to bill you for the rest. It's not the intention of the township to have the general population here paying for somebody's business application. It should be that
Right.
business applicant. So that was the reason I said we might want to at least let Kathy
She's got
know.
$4,500 in this right now.
Okay, and that would be part of the reason why we might want to just tell Kathy. I could be wrong, but Jim, did we think it was going to be, didn't you say, talk to me, they thought it might be around $5,000 or what might?
Yeah,
something
in
else?
our conversation, I suggested to not be going back and forth
Yeah.
between commission and board, 10,000. After reading this, I believe if we went 250 an hour on the high side, actually, that's not even listed as a number, 250.
Right.
And just keep the math easy for me. And multiply it by the hopeful 25 hours, whatever that comes out to be. It's what,
625.
Yeah. I hate you. by the way.
Well, 25 squared is easy.
Well, so I mean, we would,
I'm trying to.
it would be with the understanding, that's why I wanted Kathy to be notified about the meeting. If you decide to do this, I think it's only fair to tell her.
Yes.
The planning, if you do, the planning commission has decided they need this objective analysis. Rough expectation is how much?
625.
625.
25 to 25 is 625, and then add the zeros if you want to add.
Oh, okay, that might be $6,000 or so, $6 or $7,000, but whatever it is, that was for 1 hour, I thought you said.
He was saying 25 per hour and 25 hours.
250.
No,
250
250 per hour.
250. Okay,
Yeah.
then add the
So I couldn't figure out
zeros.
how to
Sorry, forgive me.
Okay, I mean, that might be the estimate, but they need to understand that it's going to be whatever it is,
Right.
because we're not making money on it,
Right.
but we're also not subsidizing.
But we
Right.
can also, in the professional services agreement, put a not to exceed amount
Exactly.
right in here. And that's what I would suggest to do, is to put a not to exceed amount. That way, if it looks like they're gonna bump up against it,
Mhm.
then everything has to be renegotiated, or there
Right.
must be some kind of
Let us know,
addendum
right.
to the
Yeah, we move beyond that scope of service, we can negotiate another scope
Exactly.
of service and new hours.
Yeah, then
I mean,
everything's sort of-
Just so you understand, our methodology with these escrow accounts is, that's the rough estimate we think this project will be. You have to pay that. If it's less, you get the money back at the end, and Patty will tell you for years, we go through some of those and sit down, and say, how much do we owe them back, and some of them where applicants don't bother to do their plans the right way, and they come back 2 or 3 or 4 times, and then they still don't do it, we bill them the extra money. I mean, it's not a moneymaker for the township, but it certainly shouldn't be a cost object for the general residents of the township to pay for some business venture. And that's how we would do this.
Well, to your point, Angela, there is a line
I
item
would put
on
that
the
in there. there, just regardless of the escrow. I would put a not to exceed amount in there. That way you're covered.
So because the professional services agreement does have a line for budget for above scope of services hourly not to exceed.
Right. So basically, and what you could do is contact them for clarification, but how I would read this is you would, and you could clarify with them that it's an hour, even though they're charging hourly, they're not to exceed a total amount. So,
Right.
so if they did like a purchase order, for example, they would set the purchase order by hours, that would be your unit, they would charge you whatever it is, $2.45 per hour. But they know that, okay, the purchase order is only gonna be set up for $6,500.
Right.
That's your cap. So you're basically capping it. And that way it's safe. If it looks like, and they'll let you know if they're a reputable company, if they're getting close to bumping up against that, they'll give you fair warning. And then that way you can go through and renegotiate either an addendum to this or a new scope if the scope changes. It just gives you more, it gives you more leverage that way
Yeah.
by keeping it to a max.
No, I fully agree. That seems inherently wise to have some type of a cap. They're not, given an open.
This is the call of the planning commission, so you put what caveats you want on it. and
Why don't you
that's
do
what
round
represents
figures,
the
like
board.
7,000?
But Bob, are you saying so we as a commission would identify the monetary limits of the budget?
Well, you could, I mean, if you wanted to, my concern is just generically, when somebody makes an application, it's like telling somebody coming in for a variance. Look at it, it's $840 or something for a variance, and that guarantees you nothing, just so you understand. It doesn't buy you the variance, it buys you the right to have the board hear it. I like to tell people when they come in, and Danielle does it when people ask about building permits, it's based on square footage, and here's how we calculate it, so they get an idea what it's likely to be. What I wouldn't want to happen, and I don't think would be appropriate, is for us to just tell the Renaissance Festival, we did this, you're gonna get billed, I have no idea what it
Right.
is. If you
Right.
wanted to say, we think based on what you're looking at, because I really haven't looked at that. Okay, so based on what you're looking at, you think it should be capped at $6,000 or $7,000, then that's the motion we could make at the board on Monday and say, if we agree at the board that it'll be hired and it's going to be billed to the escrow account of the Renaissance Festival, and we're gonna cap it at 7,000, and then I would want them there, so at least they know what's going on if that's what happens. And I think they have a right to know that, and that's typically how we would do it. I don't like some places you go in and you pull a permit and then you find out you owe them a whole bunch of money you didn't
Right.
think about. I like to at least give them a heads up. This is coming your way, and here's the reason why.
And you would determine the not, and again, we're making a recommendation, so he's gonna take it to the board at the end of the day for the final approval. So they will have the right to either decrease that not to exceed or whatever in order to move forward. But your not to exceed amount obviously would be based on what we think would be reasonable in terms of how much time. And I think they estimated 25 hours, if everyone thinks 25 hours is sufficient, or if they think it's too much or too low, or it needs to be bumped up. We make that judgment, and then we make that recommendation that Bob takes to the board for board approval. And they do have the right to come back to us, I would think, and say, we need this adjusted down. So instead of, let's say, 7,000, they may come back and say, can you adjust it down to $5,000?
And
Something along those lines.
They might ask that, but I'm just telling you that generically speaking, it's like doing bonds on
Yeah.
mining permits. The consultant makes a recommendation, the planning commission, that the reclamation bond for it should be X amount of dollars. The board doesn't sit there and debate it, because we don't actually talk to the engineer on it. That's why we pay those people.
Right.
If they tell us what they think it should be, that's the number we put in there.
But they have the right to.
They can ask.
So,
I would have to make a whole nother escrow, because the escrow I received was for a site plan process. And if it doesn't have anything to do with the site plan process, I cannot pull it out of escrow without valid recognition from the.
I don't know, it seems to me that it does kind of fall into the site.
Does
plan,
it?
Really, I mean, that's the vehicle we use to approve their parking and all of these other things that we've ever done for the parking. The traffic that are all related to the approval for that parking permit.
Okay.
So
well,
I think we would be okay, doing it under that. I just don't think it was something that we've not done in the past. I just think it's fair to let the applicant know if this is what we do. You have a right to understand and why they did it.
But I guess, and this may bespeak my ignorance here, but so is this something that ultimately the Renaissance Festival is going to pay for?
Absolutely.
Yes,
They're
yes,
going to pay for
Yes.
the township subject matter expert.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
But
yes,
it's relevant to their permit.
yes.
This is directly relevant to really that parking permit. The whole thing revolves around how do we make the Renaissance Festival work? And the problem's always been the traffic and the overcrowded parking. So if this is what you think you need to be able to evaluate that, I'm confident the rest of the board is like, okay. And we don't want to be in a position of saying, well, we tried to do it on the cheap, so we cut the number and that probably didn't get us what we really needed. I think the concern on the board's part after all these years is more likely to be, have we done everything we think we can humanly do to make this work and find a fix that will perpetuate itself year after year after year, that has an inherent fallback scenario in it that actually works rather than we kind of punt, right? Because that never seems to work. Punting is the same thing as Bob will get many complaint calls by Monday morning. Okay, that's what punting means. I'm just telling you, that's how it is.
Right.
So we would build them because again, these are business applications that should be funding their own expenses. It's not right to ask the general, me, you, anybody in the township to all be divvying up money to pay for some business venture that hasn't figured out how to do it right.
Understood, understood. Thank you for that. Thank
So
you.
I think you're onto something, just taking that 245 times 25 was roughly 6,500 and then just rounding it up to $7,000. That way you're covering all of the incidentals that may come up, like the photocopies or if they
Right.
do decide to drive out here, there's mileage involved, things of that nature. That gives you a little bit of wiggle room, I would think.
Jeff, I'm in total agreement, and if you read this, there are no visits here to Groveland to address. the
Right, it
board
looks
or
like it's
be
virtual.
part. So we can't do virtual meetings as a municipality anymore. So there is a high likelihood that a member of this group may come up to a rural engineering meeting. So based upon that, let's assume that costs another $500.
Okay,
My recommendation would be, let's use the cost not to exceed of $7,500.
yes,
Okay,
that,
nice round numbers.
that would be fair.
Sounds and wise to me, reasonable.
Yeah,
It's grounded in the contract and there's a little bit of buffer there.
So you just want to inform Kathy via these minutes that in addition to the site plan process, which is about 10,600, she's gonna owe another 7,000 as a retainer.
Well, if the board agrees, that's what they want the township
Okay,
board to do.
yeah.
She should be aware that we're gonna have that on the Monday meeting. She can sit in it, she can voice her concerns or support or whatever, but the board's gonna make that decision.
Can we put that in the motion?
Yes,
Yes. You want us to repeat it, right? That's why.
Same as Seinfeld version. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
are we ready to make a motion to approve this?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a good question, Lynn. Are we?
Everybody
ready?
agree?
I'm ready.
Okay, I make a motion that we ask the board to approve Fishback and with a maximum cost to them of $7,500, which of course will be paid by Kathy, but it might not be that full amount, however much it is,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed, Dankeschön.
Oh, you just said 7,500.
Right. And that's what he said.
Okay.
Yes.
Confirmed.
I'll second.
Roll call. Danielle, do we need to restate the motion before there's a roll call vote?
So you want a motion to
Send to the,
recommend to the township board the retainment of Fishbeck Engineering for the review of all traffic parking information studies provided by the Renaissance Festival staff and or road engineering, payments not to exceed $7,500. Also to be paid out of an escrow from the Renaissance Festival, right?
you're good.
Yes,
Just so you understand, all those escrow accounts are an estimate number we use. If it's less, they get it back. If it's more, we bill them the extra.
Just a pass through.
It's exactly a pass through, does not make money for the township.
Then okay, you guys all good with that motion?
right.
Yes.
We got to
Yes.
vote on it.
You motioned it, Lynn?
Yes, no,
Okay, second.
Christopher.
Okay, roll call vote. Jeff Penzine,
Yes,
Neil Wattlin,
Yes.
David Newville,
Yes.
Lynn Shank,
Yes, ma'am.
Jenny McKay. Yes. Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Angela Willis.
Yes.
okay, motion carried. Now, as for the additional item of new business, Angela or Jim, would you, I guess, circle back and kind of reiterate once again what the subject matter was for that?
So basically, based on the email communication from Dean Parka from Rome, he is asking or requesting us to meet with him to review adding another exit, another entrance, professional site plan, parking, traffic, and professional capacity study, as well as a contingency traffic parking plan. My suggestion or my recommendation was if we can have a special meeting arranged for him to come in and share that with us prior to April 19th, to allow them to have time. So if we provide row feedback, we provide Dean some feedback, then at least in all fairness, they have time to circle back to Kathy and her team to go through and maybe make some changes or rethink some things. That way, perhaps they're better prepared when they submit their final packet on the 19th.
Thank you. And so in layman's terms, what you're proposing would be just convening another special meeting to further facilitate a meeting of the minds, I'll use that term again, between the commission and therefore the
And
township and Row.
Representative from Row, have them share with us what they,
Correct. And when you refer to the email, you're talking
I'm
about
talking about the
The letter.
communication that's dated Monday, April 4th.
Monday, April
Right.
4th.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Now, do we need to have the input from Fishbeck at that meeting? Because I'm just, if Roe comes in with suggestions,
No, not yet, because what my thought is hopefully they come in with
what they
what
have.
they have,
Okay.
and hopefully we have that for minutes where we can then start, now we have something concrete where hopefully we have, if we have Fishbeck on retainer by then, great, then we can quickly hand that off to them.
Right.
If
Absolutely.
not, it may have to wait until,
So I just wouldn't want them thinking the group sitting here is the expertise saying yes or no. That's why we're hiring Fishbeck.
yeah, well,
Right.
and I think we need to at least listen, because there could be
Sure.
some obvious things that even as average folk can probably point out and say, well.
Just make sure
something's
we're
not right.
walking in the
Yes.
right direction.
Yes,
And then we can give them a heads up. Here's what we're doing with Fishbeck. They are going to be our technical expert on this. And that they can look over the data. I just don't want them to have the expectation that, okay, I provided this to the board. Okay, now give me a yes or no on this.
right, exactly. It's only as a preliminary, I would just serve it as a preliminary review to at least allow us to have an early look at it. If we have Fishbeck on retainer by then maybe we can get them in, invite them in or have a meeting with them to have some sure this, whatever proposal they have with them to get some back and forth going, because what I fear is if we wait until the 26th and we wait until after that to start having that back and forth, this could drag out.
And we can't buy time.
And I do think, just with regard to Fishbeck attending or being present at this, preview meeting or what, I can't. What was the
I don't
term
know
used?
if they'll be, and that's the thing that I don't know how quickly you guys can even put them on container, because it still has to go in front of the board.
I would almost recommend against it.
Well, no, I'm not even saying have them there. I think it's just inviting Roe in
Correct.
to go through and because they want to sit down with us. So, okay, invite Roe in to have them just go through this with us as a preliminary review. So we know what's coming as part of the Renaissance Festival's team's plan that they plan to present on the 19th. Or
Yes.
26th, I'm sorry.
Well, and they're also asking for the Oakland County Road Commission to be involved in that. It's not just us.
Oh, I see what you're
I
saying.
assume that Kathy is asking them, because I haven't asked anybody
It's Roe asking her,
else.
asking them to do this.
Yeah. And I do believe somebody at the Renaissance Festival has contacted Alex Urkhouse about signs and stuff, so I'm assuming they're pursuing it through that group.
Well, I don't know, because I would think that in this email, they would put in, because they include the township in this email in terms of the two, but I am not seeing anybody from,
Oakland County.
Yes.
So as it
Our-
stands from the
oh,
last
is it
meeting-
RCOC, Oakland County? So they
Yeah,
are.
That's
on
National
here.
Road Commission Open.
Yeah, so they are on here.
Okay.
So
for-
it stands from the last meeting, it was their responsibility as the Renaissance Festival to pull this together, have their own meetings outside of us, get back with us and discuss everything. I don't think should be in our vote to have a meeting with the road commission. They should have had that all done and set up by the time they came back to us.
And she's used to doing those, I think.
Yeah, which is fine, she
Yeah.
may have, but I don't think that it should be on us to pull everybody together for a special meeting. If Roe wants to meet, they can pay the special meeting price. You guys can have another board meeting and you can discuss it.
And this isn't Kathy that sent this. It looks like
It's
it's,
from Dean.
it's from
It's
Dean,
from Roe
from
directly.
Roe, like trying to get everything together.
Yeah.
We should.
Just in general, when we did some of the sewer meetings and stuff, I think Roe was the engineer on that as well. And I think they typically call their counterparts at the road commission or whatever for the sewer stuff. I would assume they're doing the same thing here. Nobody's asked me to do it, and I know that. Normally I don't.
Well, I think the April 4th email obviously does make reference to involvement of the road commission. But as a commission, on behalf of the township, the planning commission, I do agree, Angela, that it would be highly advisable for us to be as, workable, available,
Yeah, proactive.
right, proactive, like not give any cause for concern on our part. No dirty hands argument with regard to the planning commission. If we could pull together a special meeting, a preliminary review, so that we're putting them in a position to succeed, I think that would be recommended.
Because if we could correspond back to them and just say, if we can, we would be willing to hold a special meeting prior to April 26th. We would prefer that we would hold something even prior to the 19th before Kathy needs to submit something final to the township. Can you please arrange, or, based on your dialogue with the county road commission, could you propose some days and times? Something along those lines. That way we're not doing all the legwork. I don't know.
Well, and there's only 1 week.
Yeah, it's after next
I
week.
mean, next week
Yep.
is the week before the 19th.
Yep, I
And
get
you
that.
have Good Friday.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
there's 4 days.
I can send an email in response to Dean's email letter that was to Kathy stating that these are the 3 days that we can meet.
Yeah.
Please let us know and
And if they can't, they can't. I mean, it is what it is, but at least we're offering. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Would they have to pay for the special meeting? Because I don't think we, Groveland, should have to pay for
I
it.
would definitely put
Yeah.
that in the
Yes,
email.
thank you.
Saying if you need a meeting prior to the meeting, prior to the next meeting, and prior to the times when we had stated that this was due, then you need to pay for a special meeting.
Okay,
Worded
thank you.
better than that in the email, but yeah, they do have to pay for it.
Thank you.
Danielle, only because I need the reminder. If you feel it's appropriate, remind them that we need to know by such and such a date to comply with the 18-hour posting.
Yes.
something.
Mhm.
So does that fully cover the item of new business that was
I
added?
think so. Sorry.
Now, do we have to make a proposal for her to send the letter?
I,
Do we need a motion for that?
Do we need to?
I would expect we would, yes.
Never heard of
I'm
what we're
gonna say,
talking
yeah, motions don't hurt.
Yeah, I would agree.
They can't be painful. They don't.
They can't.
So I guess I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion. I don't know, for Danielle. For Danielle to do, no, more work. Editor was, no, I make a motion for Danielle to draft a letter to Row.
How about an email, so it's faster?
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean.
A communication.
A communication
Okay.
to Row.
With our availability of dates.
Providing availability of dates that we would be available prior to April 19th. For them to come in and share with us their plans.
I'll second it.
We're gonna request that the Renaissance Festival be here too.
She,
I'm gonna send the letter to
Okay.
everybody that I always send all this stuff to.
They'll come.
I can't make them come, but
We have a
But to
litany of
me-
names that she sends us stuff to.
Yeah.
people are getting probably pretty annoyed with me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's typically standard procedure for the board to grant, when other applicants have come in, let's say, not to study traffic, but make real quick adjustments to a drawing that we need to see, that they pay for it. So this is not atypical.
Like I said, none of this is supposed to be a moneymaker for the township. It's just not supposed to cost us anything.
Right.
Thank you.
It's hard to explain to somebody, why would you be having us pay for somebody else's business that should be doing it anyway? And it's a valid point.
Well, especially when an issue like this has been dragged out so long, so.
So we have a motion seconded.
Lynn,
roll call.
you want a roll call?
I agree.
Okay, Neil Wallen,
Yes.
David Newbill,
Yes.
Lynn Shay,
Yes, ma'am.
Jenny McKay,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Angela Willis.
Yes.
Jeff Pensy.
Yes. Okay, so that motion as stated is also approved. I believe that all of the new business
Have anything to
for
add?
consideration
Boss
tonight.
man?
I'll be honest, this is really, and I'm happy to see this, the board and Jim and you guys all running with this, because I got 4 or 5 things that have been brewing for 5 years. They're all coming to a head within about 10 days of each other. So I'm happy to see this done. I thought you did a great job tonight. Thank you, and I agree, and nothing to add yet.
Okay,
Can I make a motion?
please do.
I make a motion. We adjourn today. How about that?
I'll second.
Dankeschön.
Thank you. You guys did a very nice job tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's on Zoom.
So you can
Oh, okay.
Kathy or whatever, or Roll, if they want.
Less
they
than
can
an
see.
hour,
Poor kids.
you know?